Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our ULURP meeting. My name is Ben Edwards, and I'm the chair of the ULURP committee. The members of the committee are Fred Batiste, Simone Bennett, Warren Burke, Augustine Blackwell, Josette Brioche, Honorable Laurie Combo, Natalie Diaz, Ben Edwards, the Honorable Matthew Eugene, Edmund Fanning, Rabbi Jacob Goldstein, Laura Imperial, Daniel Ingvolstad, Paula Jones, Demetrius Lawrence, Avi Leshes, Honorable Darlene Mealy, Michael Citero, Dwayne Nicholson, Chairman, Rosemary Perry, Diana Richardson, Brenda Scott, David Suarez of the Office of Councilmember Matthew Eugene, Timothy Thomas, Jacqueline Welsh, Evelyn Williams. With the board members, the committee members, please stand.
So you have.
Okay, you may be seated.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Where are the committee members for the residents? We put applications in. Where are the residents? We hear that on this committee you have elected officials, you have elected representatives, you have CB9 members, but what about the residents of this community? Your bylaws, Article 8.2, says that you are supposed to appoint non-board members to committees. Article .7c says that you are supposed to encourage participation of non-board members on this committee.
Okay,
How will you have a committee where you have elected officials on the committee and not residents? We are residents, we are taxpayers. We are taxpayers. Where are the residents? Where are the residents in this committee? We submitted applications. Where are the residents in this committee?
On the committee,
where are the residents in this committee? Where are the residents in this committee?
Ms. Boyd,
Community, our community. Whole community, our community.
Ms. Boyd, we have members of the We have members of the committee.
Whose community? Our community. Whose community?
Okay. Ms. Boyd, you are out of order. You interrupted the meeting. I'd have to ask you to sit down. Ms. Boyd, you're being warned. Ms. Boyd, I'm asking you to sit down. Ms. Boyd, you're interrupting the meeting. Ms. Boyd, please sit down.
Our community. Whose community? Our community. This is our community. Where are the residents a part of this committee? 20 people that put in applications. 30 people put in applications.
Okay.
Where are our applications?
Could you remove this, Ms. Boyd, from this gathering? She's interrupting.
This is our community.
She's preventing us from moving forward.
This is our community. No, we will not have it. This is our community.
Please.
It does not belong
point for me, please. Meeting is called back to order. Hello? Hello, meeting is called back to order. Please be seated so the meeting can continue. Please be seated so the meeting can continue.
Where's Alicia's coat?
Everybody know where Alicia's coat is.
Please be seated so the meeting can continue.
Alright, everybody please sit down. If you need to continue. Guys, we can solve our community. What meeting?
What meeting?
This is a real viable meeting.
Meeting so the meeting can continue.
Represents our real community. I see somebody who uses the law to be racist and sexist. That's what I see. I see bigots.
Please be seated so the meeting can continue.
I'm with the Quality for Flatbush. And we're a group that is multinational, multiracial. We're led by people like please get
Go away. Just go sit down somewhere.
This is what
is this about?
Just go sit down somewhere.
What is this about? Mom, you know it's not true.
It is true.
Hello, please be seated so the meeting can continue.
Right? Everybody in this
All right, have the board proceed to the meeting. Have the board proceed.
That's what we're also talking about.
Please sit and record them on the side. The media, please move aside and record them on the side.
This is a working class, middle class community. It's what you're talking about. They're talking about here. You don't see we're doing
Please be seated so we can continue the meeting. Let me the photographers, could you step aside so the meeting could continue? You're preventing the progress of the meeting. Please step aside.
That's right. I was physically assaulted at the meeting.
Please be seated so the meeting could continue. Ladies and gentlemen, the meeting tonight is together with members of the community to provide input into the formulation of a request for a planning study of a portion of Community District 9 in Brooklyn. Community concerns to be included. Please be seated so we could continue. Please be seated so we could continue. The community concerns are to be included. Please be seated so we could continue with the meeting. Please be seated. Please be seated so we could continue with the meeting.
Joyce, tonight's, we didn't do any resolution or anything. We came here so we could put, I just want to say something. Hello. So we didn't write any resolution on your behalf. We came here tonight, and those two folks are going to write down what your concerns are to put in the resolution, what your issues, what you're asking for, and we'll write it down, and that is what will go in the resolution. We didn't want to prepare it and say that we took it off what you said last week because some people might not believe us. So we're here. Just the specific points that you're saying. You have concerns about displacement. You have concerns about gentrification. All of that stuff we will put into the resolution or the letter or the whatever we want to call it. It don't have to be a resolution. It can be a request. There are 3 members on the committee. There are 3. They didn't come. We can't make people come to the meeting. We can't make anyone come to the meeting. Huh? Yes. Yeah. Okay. So we're ready. We're ready to put down the bullets with your concerns, because that will go into the request to city planning. Last week you gave testimony. Now we just want specific items that you will put down there. Because we didn't want to do it on your behalf. That was the plan. We were going to go back and write it out, but then someone will say the same thing we did last year. People say, well, nobody said this, nobody said that, so we come back. So you can specifically say, this is what we are concerned about. And when we leave here tonight, it will be voted on to go before the board.
Who are the community members on that committee? Name them. Name them. The community members.
Okay, there is the members from the community are Natalie Diaz. She lives on Montgomery Street. Edmund Fanning lives on Ocean Avenue. And Paula Jones lives. I'm not telling anybody where anybody's address. Come on now. No, I didn't. I said a street name. So to give, and this committee. Okay, we have like, I don't know, like 50 applications, or I don't know how many applications that just came in. Those were not addressed. So those people that just applied, the committee hasn't had a chance to review those applications because we're busy trying to get this done. Listen, you don't have to be a committee member to participate in the process. There is no such thing. I don't know who told y'all that. You don't have to be a committee member. You can't vote. Board members vote. Board members vote. It's a board meeting. Board members vote.
Then go on with the meeting, please.
Okay, we're about to start. We would like the audience here to be respectful to other speakers when they go to the mic. We're taking input from everyone. You'd come up with a specific point, which a specific item to be considered, to be included. Now, what we're asking is for individuals to come up to the mic with one specific, or you could sit and give the idea, one specific item, and we would have them all listed, and that is what we would work on for the final document. Okay? Please be seated. Please be seated so we could continue. Okay. Okay, the first person who would like to come forward with a specific point to be added to the list. The first person to come, because everybody's talking. Yes, we would like to start The first person with a specific point that they would like to be added to the document, please come forward.
From the committee or from the community?
From the community.
Absolutely. For one item, I would like to insist that we get the maximum number of affordable units anywhere that's rezoned, and that we will not take anything less than the maximum.
Please be quiet and allow the person with the mic to speak. Have respect for the person with the mic. Please be seated so we could continue. Yes, basically just a point, like how...
All right, what I want to see is Empire taken off of the perimeter and have their own study and downzone Empire Boulevard.
Write it down. And Washington Avenue.
I say,
Don't say it.
let me hold the mic again.
Wait 1 second, huh?
Sam, and Washington Avenue. Downzone. Same thing.
I'm going to let you say what you want to say.
If someone comes to the mic to speak and you all start clapping or talking, the writers or no one else can hear what they're saying. So just for courtesy purpose, so that we can actually hear what is being said, can we speak one person at a time? But you're talking while I'm talking, and that's the same purpose. Let's just give each other a little bit of respect, okay?
Okay, I said that Empire Boulevard should be taken out of the perimeter of the study and have their own independent study and be downzoned.
And please state your name before making this statement.
My name is Maria Molina. When it comes to affordable housing, the 80-20 split is automatically gentrification because we're not looking at local area median incomes. We're looking at area median incomes, which is much higher than what the local is. So we need to visit and address what affordable housing really means, because it's affordable to who?
Thank you. Next contributor. Next person who would like to contribute to the document.
I'm going to call for no new affordable housing under the mayor's plan. The mayor's plan is an excuse to upzone our neighborhood. There are other ways to get affordable housing in our neighborhood that are already underway. And so I'm going to say very specifically, no new affordable housing under the mayor's plan, no upzoning.
Could we get your name?
Elizabeth Mackin.
Next speaker.
My name is Jared May. I'd like to say that I find it appalling today to see someone who's so well respected in the community, who's speaking for many people in the community, speaking for more than a lot of the politicians who are going around pushing this, seeing her being escorted out of here today. It makes me sick to my stomach. That's all I'm saying.
Let's stay on the topic. Next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Lorraine Thomas, and I'm also calling for Washington Avenue to be removed from the study and downzoned.
Next speaker.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rabbi Green. I've been living in this community from 1984 to present. Prior to that, I lived in Germany for 20 years. And everybody knows I don't speak with water in my mouth. I have showed up at several meetings because I don't want to be part of problems. I want to be a part of solution. We have to get a solution to this problem, because everybody can talk and act out and all this type of stuff. We need to put our energies and all our time into it, especially the grassroots. And we need to sit down with Mayor de Blasio. It's very, very vital. I've known, everyone that's on this board has known me. Mr. Edwards, I've known him for many years. And everybody knows me, I'm a no-nonsense person. I'm a part of the PBBA, I'm a part of the 71 Community Affairs, and I love my community, and everybody knows I'm tired just coming from work, but when it comes to my people and my community, I am here. So let's be a part of the solution, not a part of the problems. Let's get together. This place should have been filled tonight. Let's knock all our heads together, put all our energy together, and let's see what we can do to help our community. The community at large is suffering. It's not just one borough, it's 5 boroughs we have here in New York City. Okay, folks? So let's put our heads together and be part of the solution.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, it's Alan Berger, live in Lincoln Road. So we want to request, and with concerned citizens of CB9, for a community-sponsored rezoning. We want a community-sponsored, not a city planning-led study, and we want to hire a professional planner to help us figure this out. So we want to put the brakes on this process now so we can go back and really figure out what's best for this community and have more involvement from everybody in the community. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Hello, my name is Nicola Cox, Nichola-Cox. I have 2 items. The first is that our rezoning should focus on the preservation of affordable housing, the existing affordable housing in this community. I don't really see a need for additional housing. We need to preserve the housing that already exists and make sure that it remains affordable for this community. Second of all, it's already been stated, but I wanted to restate the fact that Empire Boulevard can be a vibrant commercial zone. It needs to be removed from the study and allow it to develop in a means that will support the community in the current zoning that currently exists.
Everybody, Joy Stewart, President and founder of the 320 Sterling Street Tenants Association. I am here because every day we are in court. I'm addressing Board 9. I have tenants in my building who has been in the building since 1980. Check and see how many decades. They're still being harassed with high rents. When you talk about rent control and rent stabilization, that is a myth, because our people, our senior citizens are still harassed, the rents are still being high, and they still have the marshal changing locks on the door. I want Board 9 to do something about it, otherwise I'm going to sit in on your meeting and make sure something is done for my senior citizens. Am I clear? Am I clear? You got me, Pearl? Senior citizen housing. Yes. Okay. Senior citizen housing.
Next speaker.
Good evening, everybody. I don't need an introduction. Perhaps I do. My name is Rabbi Jacob Goldstein. I was the chairman of this community board for 34 years. I have a very good handle on zoning. And I can tell you right now, all of the developers in New York City are having a field day. As we sit here and squabble and squawk and do nothing, they are building, they are buying, and assembling. Does everybody know what that means, assembling? Assembling means when you go to Flatbush Ave and you see a 29-story building, they could build as of right because they've assembled enough land under that building to give them that right. So if we sit here and squawk, that's what's going to happen all around us, whether you like it or not. So we need to move forward with a plan. If you want to squash a plan, that's fine. You're going to wake up one morning after squawking and find that these developers have assembled large tracts of land, and up goes those buildings. That's number one. Number two, my proposal then is that we meet, that we vote, that we get together, come up with a plan, and we move forward, and we do it quickly. Because if we don't, that's what we're going to have. Don't think I'm wrong? I'm right? Look on Flatbush Avenue. That's one example. Do you know who the ownership is of the commercial strip? You don't. Believe me, they're behind LLCs, and it could be one or two people behind those LLCs. And you'll never find them. Go on Acris, go whatever you want. They know what they're doing. Okay, it's number one. Number two, give you an example of what could happen. My block is a beautiful block. It's zoned R5-1. And guess what? There was an abandoned house at the corner of my street for years. And one day, by accident, I found out that it was sold for $1.6 million on a block of two-family homes it was abandoned. Corner of, thank you, of New York Avenue and Montgomery Street. And guess what the proposal now is? To put in 8 units on that corner. My friends, this is the problem. If we don't act, we'll have this issue over and over again. We're fighting that. But the point is, this could happen in your corner and in the middle of your block. So instead of squabbling, let's move forward.
Thank you. Next speaker.
My name is Janine Nichols. I live on Stoddard Place. My partner's been on that block for 30 years. 30 years on Stoddard Place. I'd like to just make the observation that this is the only, Black Crown Heights is the only park-facing neighborhood surrounding Prospect Park that's been requesting for 2 administrations to be downzoned and now and ignored, totally ignored, and now suddenly it's got to be upzoned. So, you know, the real estate market in Brooklyn has changed and the pressure has fallen all on this neighborhood. We are aware that there are zoning problems in the neighborhood, like were just described by the previous speaker, but we also are aware of the threat to us. So because we live in small houses and we don't want to be surrounded by huge towers. So we want Empire Boulevard to be excluded from anything that goes forward to city planning. We have already identified the group at Hunter College that will work with us to make our own plan for Empire Boulevard. So we want to take some charge of what happens to the future of our neighborhood. Thanks.
I'd like us to stay to the point. That issue was brought up, it's noted, and it doesn't make sense that you keep repeating the same thing. Testimony was last week. Here we're looking for concrete facts that we would be including with the proposal. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, Community Board 9 and community at large. I'm Diana Richardson. I'm a member of Community Board 9. I'm a member of the ULURP committee. And I'm actually a member that has been a member of the board for a very long time. I bring that up because I have the knowledge of how we got where we are today, okay, and why we are entering into a zoning study in the first place. It has been said more times over, but I think it really needs to be stressed. We have areas of vulnerability in our district. We are sitting on R71s without the A. We are sitting on R6s. This is going to allow developers to come into our community and as of right, just like the 626 Flatbush project, as of right, built in our community. As members of Community Board 9, it is our job to protect the community at large and the community interests of everyone at large. We do not want there to be displacement. Okay? We don't want a lot of the things that are coming into the community, but if we sit back and do nothing, which we have been doing with all the fighting and the bickering, we can only expect our situation to remain as it is currently, and we can only expect that the situation will get worse. So, let me say this. I appreciate all commentary, whether it's shouting or not, because I think that all viewpoints do need to be heard. But what I do suggest is, as a community board and as a committee, it's time for us to get to work. As you see us here talking in the corner, we're going over the wording of a possible letter to DCP. We're going over the wording because this is the work that a committee is supposed to do. Ultimately, we have to enter into some sort of study which will give us back general, results and let us know that X block can be R this or R that. We can't even enter into the negotiation phase until the first step is done. I urge people to do your own research. Don't allow people to give you information. When you take secondhand information, you allow a person's interpretation to become what is your knowledge, okay? That is a big problem about what's going on here. I'm going to be fully supporting us to go into a zoning study. And one more thing, let me say this about the parameters. We came up with the parameters of Empire to Clarkson with Ocean Avenue to New York Avenue because that is the area of the community with the most vulnerability of R71. It is not a racial issue. It is not a racial issue. I sat in every single DCP meetings and we came up with those parameters together. It's not a racial issue. I'm just saying that and moving forward. I love you too, my love. I love you too.
Next speaker, please.
This is not the first time that I've had this discussion with this community board. I keep wondering, who are you talking to? I don't understand. The people in this community, people do the same research that we have access to the same research facilities that you do. Why do you presume that we don't know what we're doing? Why do you presume that we don't know what we read or understand what we read? This is something that I do not understand. And then when you have reaction from the community, you say, well, you are not being treated nicely. But how are you treating us? We asked for a word, 10 words, 50 words on this committee. You will not allow that. For what reason? I don't understand. Why are you worried about some contrary opinion to the one that you may have? When we say to you, stand up and be counted, you remain seated. But when we stand up, you have a problem with that. I don't understand. I really can't get a grip on it. What I do know is that you may remove any person that you wish from here. Pick and choose who you wish to remove. Whoever you take out, somebody else is going to stand up, okay? And you should understand that. You should understand that we understand that. There's people here with no fear. I have no fear of you, no fear of Community Board 9, but you are going to follow the process that is there. We are not going to be threatened by Lori Kumbo that she's going to do it independently when we can read what the process is. I do not understand who you all think you're talking to. I don't understand that.
Excuse me,
what I can say
excuse me, we're going off topic.
Excuse me.
We're going off topic.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You didn't stop her from speaking. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about.
We're going off topic.
But I have the microphone now. You going to talk over me while I'm talking? My name is Karen Fleming, just so you know. You can put that down there. What I'm saying to you, in case you did not get a grip, is that you may take them out one at a time. Another one will stand for that one that you take out. Because we all understand what's going on here. Okay, we all understand. We all have access to the same materials that you have access to. We read, we understand. We are intelligent. We are educated. We are maybe not educated, but we understand the English language. I don't know who you all think you're talking to and who you think you're working with. This is the community. You have chosen to ignore us. We're not going to be ignored. Take them out one at a time if you wish. If you'd like to take me out, I'm here for you to take me out. Somebody else will stand in my place, just so you understand that.
The reason for this meeting is not to ignore the community, but to have community participation. And I would appreciate it if we stick to the agenda, and that is to get the items that we would like to have to be presented to city planning.
My name is Lynn Quarles. I'm from Stoddard Place. I feel like I say this every time. Here we go again. Okay, first I would like to ask, have you received my application? I would like to be on the ULURP committee.
We're here not to discuss that. That's not on the agenda.
Just want you on record, that's all. You have an application, I would like to be on the committee.
Into the document. And that's what we're here
on
for.
record. I would like to participate in the process. I'm Lynn Quarles. My name is on the board. Okay, I would like to support a community-sponsored rezoning study because, quite frankly, I do not trust this board. I would like to remove Empire from the study. I support the removal of the transit corridors such as Washington Avenue, Franklin Avenue, Bedford Avenue, Clawson, and Nostrand. I also support downzoning of our community similar to our wealthier neighbors in Windsor Terrace, Prospect Heights, and Park Slope. And I can only imagine how powerful we could be if our board stood with us. And I encourage my neighbors again, and the community at large again, to remember what happens here the next time you go to vote. Because these are just the puppets.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. And let's try to stick to the agenda, what we're here for.
Hi, my name is Esteban Jaron. I live at 951 Carroll Street. I'm a member of the Crown Knight Tenant Union, and I applied to be on your ULURP committee on the 19th, and Pearl, you told me that I would be, and I also sent an email on the 22nd in case anyone's interested, but apparently that was not enough time. This is not obviously directly related to what we're doing, but
okay, but then we stick into what we're doing because we want to get through it.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and tell you.
Back,
okay.
If it's something related, okay. If it's not,
I'm not here to fight with you. I'm just okay. So I live on Franklin Avenue. From what I understand, Franklin Avenue is already protected. We have been zoned for 6 to 7 stories, and my request is that it not be included in the area of a zoning study. And please let me onto your ULURP committee, please.
Next speaker, please. No. Somebody's coming. Everything.
So I want to say good evening to everyone. My name is Demetrius Lawrence. I'm the second vice chair of the Community Board 9 and the Block Association president for Montgomery Street between Bedford and Rogers. I've been hearing and we've been here so many times, community, and we've been going back and forth. And the sad thing that bothers me is when you see the separation from community and community board. And in community, there should be the word, you see the word unity. And we're here as a board, and we should be respectful of the community, and the community should be respectful of those who are in the board. And this is why we have these meetings, and I appreciate, this is one of the reasons why I joined the board, so I can have an input on what goes on in our community. And if you've elected us to be your representations, you can always replace those who represent you. But it's here at this moment now that we've gone back and forth so many times, I'm getting dizzy about this issue, that we need to come today, gather the information that we need to gather so we can sit together collectively and come up with some type of cohesive idea on what we want to see in our community. No one wants to be displaced. I'm a renter. I don't want to be displaced. I have a family with 4 beautiful children. I don't want to get displaced. And I'm concerned about the future of this community, because if we don't work together tonight, as of right, as the rabbi said and everyone else said, there are going to be some huge buildings here popping up everywhere. And then you'll say, well, why is this happening? So tonight we need to make it happen. Tonight we need to move forward collectively. Thank you.
Next. Let's stick to the point.
Hi, my name's Sarah Prudhomme. I live on Lincoln Road. And I'd like to just confirm that you wrote down that we were looking to have a professional planner represent the community, because I didn't see it written down when Alan Berger represented that. I think the biggest problem is we don't have answers to our questions. And I think city planning knows exactly what they have planned for our neighborhood. They mentioned 14 stories on Empire Boulevard, 7 to 8 stories on the transportation corridors, and the community needs to know that that's what's coming. And I just got off the phone with a third professional planner who told me that once the study starts, the community doesn't have much input. And so you guys keep telling me that we're going to have input later on, and that's not what the professionals are telling me. So that's why we're at a cross. We need answers to our questions. What are we talking about? Are we talking about 8 stories on Rogers? Rogers, the end of my block, there's 2 stories now. What are we talking about? Before we go ahead, we need answers.
Next speaker, please.
We're only allowed to speak once?
Go ahead and speak. You can speak.
All right, first of all, if I were a developer, I could already build 8 stories on Rogers, so that's not germane. I would like to say that in the course of this study, we demand not one single unit of rent-stabilized housing disappears as a result of this process. All right? Thank you.
Next speaker.
Okay. My concern, and I understand the agenda for this evening is to come up with points for a resolution. My issue is, I think that we need to be addressing a point even before that, where the resolution is going to a city planning board, which has already put preconditions in terms of some of the items that we can actually discuss and not discuss. Specifically, I know a lot of the consternation on the community is coming from the fact that the understanding is Empire Boulevard is a mandatory part of the study, and we cannot proceed without it. This is a study that is demanded by the community. I think everyone, the 125,000 residents of Crown Heights, want a study. What I think is going wrong is we shouldn't be imposed where we automatically have to accept that precondition for a study. We've waited long enough. My concern is, and this goes back where haste makes waste. I think if we have the conversations we need to have with the people we need to have them with, I think we get a lot further, and at the very least we can say that the process has run its course. There is no reason, as a community of 125,000, where the mayor's office should not be responsive to our request to consider what exactly we want to have in a study and tell us, 125,000 strong, that we cannot say this piece is not going to happen. I think there are way too many questions that are on the hearts and minds of the community that need to be answered first. There is nothing that says, even after all is said and done, maybe, we may be swayed and say, you know, we might want to have that. But that should be a part of the discussion. That is absolutely an option that perhaps city planning should plan and should actually come up with a couple of cases that we can examine. But it should never be a precondition for us. We're all taxpayers, we're all citizens, we're all voters, we're all residents of Brooklyn, and we shouldn't have that because especially every other community has never had that restriction placed on them in terms of what they can and cannot have studied. So what we need to do, before we decide we're going to all of a sudden jump on the best deal because we believe that's the best deal we're going to get, we need to hold our elected officials accountable to us. You need to call the mayor's office, tell him to come to explain to 125,000 strong why we are not allowed to take 2 square blocks off of the study. There is no reason. He needs to be able to be accountable to us. We need to be able to hold our council people accountable to us as well. Because if 125,000 strong want to study, we should be able to have that unequivocally. We shouldn't have to gamble and bargain and barter for a study that we all want and all need. This is about affordable housing. We need to consider everything that goes along with that. We need to consider the impact on development on affordable housing because from a lot of what's been said, I understand it all sounds great, but there is no legislation that is on the books yet that is automatically going to protect affordable housing here. So Maybe this is just me. I have a Haitian grandmother. She would never accept that kind of business deal where I'm going to give you carte blanche, the keys to rezone my community without some kind of guarantees on the back.
Next contributor.
Hi, my name is Suki Chung. I'm a resident of Fenimore Street, and I work with the Prospect Park East Network. We want to see a down zoning of the R71 areas in Prospect Lefferts Gardens. That's Flatbush Avenue, Ocean Avenue, and the many cul-de-sacs lined with residential buildings, Parkside, Lincoln, Chester Court, Westbury Court. And also Clarkson Avenue is part of that R71 area. We have thousands of people who have signed petitions in support of this. The board voted in support of that back in March. And I would echo what Diana said, which is that this request for rezoning began with a request for the downzoning of the R71 areas and the R6 areas. There was no discussion about upzoning, about accepting increases in residential density, however modest, no inclusionary zoning, nothing like that. I do strongly believe that we need to do as much as we can to protect tenants, especially rent-stabilized tenants in this neighborhood, but there was absolutely no request in the history of this rezoning for any kind of upzoning or increase in residential density. So I would not want to see a request go forward to Department of City Planning that says anything of that nature.
Next contributor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Stuart Balberg. I've been on this community board since 1979. I was on the school board, elected to the school board. I have to say about elected officials, especially when they have to vote on a tough election, they have to count the votes. They can't just look and see 50 people and say that that represents 100,000 people. There's 100,000 people in this district, not the 50 people who make noise and walk out after they have what to say. We are one community. Imagine that you're a developer working for the city. Somebody gives you a plot. They give you a jigsaw puzzle. How are you going to deal with a jigsaw puzzle? You want to take this block out, put this block in, and move these 6 pieces out of there. If you're a developer, you can't deal with that kind of a thing. I have to say that the thing you fear the most, a monolithic approach from the mayor, you know how to get a monolithic approach? Give a heterogeneous neighborhood, and then you take a small area with 6 square blocks in it, or 12 square blocks in it, or 15 square blocks in it, and say, here's that little piece, deal with it. They're going to deal with it in one haphazard way. But if you put the entire community and every block in the community, then they're going to be forced to take a look at the trivialities of what's going on in each block. And that's why I'm urging you to go back to the way that the study was put forth months ago before it all got stymied, where the study was to go for everybody. This way, when it's all over, we'll have something to comment about, instead of being given a little package that's so simplistic that you can't fight it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next contributor.
We're sticking to the agenda. Get your name, please. Yes, hello everyone. 1 second, please. Is everybody okay tonight? I am. Okay, so I just wanted to point something out as I listen to the comments that are being made. I think it's really important that we remember some of us disagreed with the fact that we didn't have an opportunity to have these discussions. And back in September, we got together, District Leader Davis and I worked with a lot of the people in this room to make sure that we could have these hearings where the community could have their voices heard. And it wasn't pretty, and it was noisy, and it was raucous. But today, and the last couple of weeks, we've been hearing from the community about how they feel about an upzoning, a downzoning, whether it's the way it was before or the way we want it in the future. Everyone is getting an opportunity to voice their opinion about it, whether we agree or disagree. And that's what this process is about. It's not about agreeing with everything that someone says they want. Because if in life, you do not get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. So this is a negotiation between the community and city planning. That's what this is. The board is the conduit through which our negotiation will be executed. The information that is collected on these cards is information that is being contributed by all of the community that's concerned about this issue. In my mind, and in your mind, you must understand, you cannot solve problems. You can never solve problems using the same mind that you used to create them. You have to take on a new mind in order to come up with the solutions to the problems that you created in the past. So going forward, let's respect the fact that we won't agree on everything. Let's take into consideration that we won't get everything that we want in the negotiation. But we should have some points of view that we can all agree on, present to city planning, and have the board exercise that process for us. That is what democracy is about, and we have achieved it tonight. And we should be happy, very happy, that we are having an opportunity to have our voices heard, have our opinions shared, and a discussion about what is best for our community. And that's what I want to say to you.
My name is Imani Henry. I'm with Equality for Flatbush, and we're also part of the study that's being done with Hunter, Crown Heights Tenants Union, MTOP, other groups, community boards, community block associations are also part of this study. I think the thing that's really of concern for us is the fear-mongering that is happening. The understanding that, you know, our neighborhoods have been existing and breathing and living, and all of a sudden with this rapid gentrification, we now are in this process where we're forced to choose this study that the city planning is putting forward. And this is happening across the city. This is happening in East New York. This is happening in the Bronx. This is happening all over the place. So this fear-mongering that, again, we have no other choice is kind of, to be frank, it's a little ridiculous because the community has made a choice. We have said clearly that not only do we not want the upzoning of our community, but we did not want and did not come to the city and say, yes, please, will you do this study for our community? We never once said we wanted this study to begin with. I want to be really clear about the fear-mongering about this, too. I think the piece of it is the community. I was here at the initial meeting where there was the resolution was brought forward and it was voted down. And the community has spoken time and time again, and we keep coming week after week, that there is no residents on the ULURP community. I still don't understand. Why do you expect people, and I'm a social worker, so it's almost it's traumatic almost. Why would you expect people who are being traumatized, who are told time and time again, being disrespected, that you're really for them? You do not put the people that want to be on this committee on the committee. People are asking to be a part of this process. People have said over and over again, week after week, that they do not want to see an upzoning. And again, folks, we keep going through this process, we keep creating this list. So I think the first most thing is about respecting the fact that people want this independent study. And making sure that that is seen, because we keep hearing that it's sort of being thrown out as like, oh, those folks over there want to do it. There are legitimate community groups that say, we want to do this for ourselves. And I think the Community Board 9 needs to do that. I understand, sir. I know you want us to wrap up. But again, I think it would be better if we had actual residents on here and not elected officials. If we had actual community residents and not elected officials that are tied to the developers, that want to see an upzoning, and I want to say one more thing about racism, because I think this is a really, really very important thing. I think this is I will wrap up. I want to just be really clear about this, because we can't in any way negate that gentrification is intersectional. It is about age, that we know that elders are the ones that are at highest risk of losing their apartments. We have plenty of studies to talk about black women and evictions and foreclosures in this country. So to keep negating that is also disrespectful to the community. Again, please, I'm not shouting you down, Tim. Thank you so much. Impulse control, that's very important. So with this said, I'm just asking that respect that there are, and we want to invite other community groups, other block associations to be part of the Hunter study, because we need to galvanize our own strength and power and show that what the community really wants and what the community really wants and needs, and it has to be from us. We can't just rely on the city. Thank you.
Let's pass the mic here. Hi.
Good evening, residents and members of Community Board 9. My name is Laura. No,
Wait your turn. She's speaking.
You can go after me. No, I'm a resident of this community for 17 years. I'm a single mother. I raised my son here. I chose to live here. I love this community, and I don't see this as a white community. I don't see it as a black community. I don't see it as a Caribbean community. This is our community. And I have to tell you, I am this close from resigning from the community board because I am ashamed of the things that happen here. Every time I come, I work full-time. We all work full-time. We come here and give of hours of our time to do what's right on behalf of the community. I can tell you this, I am tired of being threatened. I am tired of being shouted at and insulted, and we sit here every time. You can shake your head all you want. Every single time we are come here and disrespected, and because we're trying to be the professionals that we are and representing the community, we don't say anything back. Well, I'm tired of it. My son, my family, they feel that I'm in danger. Someone tried to attack me at a meeting. I'm over this shit. Now we either come together and get this going and do what's right on the behalf of the community. I would like to finish what I have to say. I would like to finish. Excuse me. Excuse me. I've heard worse. And I would like to comment. I would like to comment that we actually had a calm meeting tonight, and we were able to hear what the community had to say because people were calm tonight, and I appreciate that. And I have to tell you, I've been on this board 2 years. Not once have I heard anybody on the board or from the community say, I want an upzoning. Not once. We want a study. We want appropriate development or downzoning. I don't think I've never called for a 30-story tower. I don't want my neighborhood to look like that. And I want additional infrastructure over here, but we also have the reality of a mayor who's going to push like hell for affordable housing and development. So we either come together as a community and stop the divisiveness and send a message to city planning and city hall, or we are all going to be screwed by this as-of-right development, because right now, nothing is moving forward. And I got to tell you, this isn't a process that just took place in September. And I will tell you that this was a process that came from the community. We asked for a zoning study because all the groups and people from the community asked us for this. We are doing what people asked. And Suki, you know it, Plegna knows it, everybody knows it. So don't act like you didn't know, okay? And then now you come up in September. I appreciate your input. But this is destructive input, and don't pretend that this hasn't been in the works for over a year. It has been. We are trying like hell to listen to you. I'm trying to take notes, and people are screaming at me. I ask out of respect, just please lower your voices. Thank you very much.
Certainly. You stopped at Suki? You didn't put Imani, nobody, what they said? Good evening, everyone. My name is Maxine Barnes, and following up on Imani's, again, we'll say what the community said all along, that we want to be included, and I'm going to give you an overview, a brief overview of what our demands are. Number one, all residents who have... Could y'all stop having a conversation? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. With all due respect, again, this is a summary overview of what we have voiced over and over and over again. Maybe someone will listen this time. Keep hope alive. For a brief overview, here are the demands. Number one, all residents who have placed an application on the ULURP committee be appointed before the next ULURP meeting, which was today, February 11th. We should be at the table, all 30+ applications. We should be sitting over there as part of the community and putting in and hammering out together what it is, if it takes block by block, transit corridor by transit corridor, what the community wants. Okay, everybody got that? All residents who have placed a valid and based on the bylaws application and to sit at that table, like it's our bylaws right in the city charter, that we will hammer out what everybody wants. Old people, young people, owners, renters, black, white, polka dot, everybody. Everybody has to be included. Number two, that the Empire Boulevard not be included in the study request. Why? Because the following organizations, grassroots organizations, block association, and tenant association have commenced a study. We have, you should have put us on the table, Pearl. We have commenced a study of Empire Boulevard, C82 area with Hunter College. MTOP, here are the organizations. MTOP, the Movement to Protect the People. Sullivan Ludham Startup Neighborhood Association. B&W Sterling Street Block Association. 320 Sterling Tenants Association. Equality for Flatbush. Crown Heights Tenants Union. And New Directions and Healing Incorporated. Thank you. Number three, the Washington Avenue and Franklin Avenue. Pearl, you're not writing none of this down. Neither did you, Imani's, but moving on. The Washington Avenue and Franklin Avenue be not included in the study due to the fact that they already have protection, which would be jeopardized. Why would they? You can't take a brush stroke and just paint across an entire community. It does not make any sense. And number four, that CB9 set aside time at every meeting to hear from the community without restraints, as its bylaws state and which is required by the city charter. Number five, that Pearl Miles be removed from her position. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Musa Moore, and Moshe. All right. Good evening again. You know, I've been coming to these meetings for a while, and I've been sitting on the side listening to a lot of things, and please feel free to record what I'm saying. The problem we have here is, as the community board, we're supposed to represent the community. And I may not have a lot of fans with this, but I've always been an independent thinker. We're supposed to represent the community, not part, not some, but all. So what we have to do is take into consideration the feedback we're getting from everyone. A few meetings back, I went on record and voted no for the upzoning as a board member. And I will continue to do that. Because I believe this community the density is already at a maximum. So when you start building, what happens next? The infrastructure starts to suffer. Unlike some, I used to be the director of housing in this district with the New York State Senate. So I know the look in the eyes of people that's being evicted. And I'm sitting there trying to figure out how to save their apartment. I understand what they go through, and we have to remember that. A lot of people don't understand that, so they come up and make speeches about what they think, but what they may not actually know. This community is suffering. The community wants one thing. The community board may hear something else. We're in a position of a conduit, but the issue is, are we delivering the message from the community to where it needs to go? Now, the city planning, the mayor, and so forth, I personally have relationships with a lot of people, a lot of elected officials. And I'm going to personally talk to certain people in place, because there's nowhere in the world Empire Boulevard should be shoved down our throats. This is the job of leadership. They are supposed to, a long time ago, when they had a meeting with the mayor and say, how do we change this? How do we make sure the community as a whole benefit if we're looking out on the best interests of the community? Every meeting we're going to, we're fighting, people getting pulled out, people getting arrested. It's ridiculous. And it has to stop. No matter what, we have to find a way for us as a community to move forward as one. Yeah, developers will be developing if we continue this. Yeah, we'll continue to fight. Presidents may be removed, I may be removed, Pearl may be removed, but at the end of the day, what are we accomplishing? Nothing. So I agree, and I'm on record, I agree with this no upzoning. And as I move throughout the community, I'm going to tell everybody, if somebody has a problem with it, feel free to speak to me about it. It's not an issue. But we cannot upzone and let people get evicted, forced out, kicked out of this community, people that's been here 30, 40, 50 years. It's ridiculous, and it's unacceptable. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good evening. My name is Carmen Martinez, and I am a board member. And I just want to address the community. I was one of the people that voted on Fred's motion to bring this whole zoning process back to the community for input. And I thought that in doing that, that is exactly what we were going to do, to put forward something that was representative of what the community wanted. Now, I was here at the last meeting. There was 3 issues. There was comments. Basically, I've been hearing the same thing that I heard the last meeting that we had. I haven't heard anything new. And it boggles my mind, because when I came here, it was my understanding when I left from the last meeting that everything that was said that night was going to be put into some kind of a draft that was going to be discussed here tonight for further input and for further dialogue. We are again back at taking points and notes and taking testimony, which is basically the same thing. Then I hear that something is going to be presented to the board on the 24th to vote. As a board member, I'm not comfortable voting anything that's going to be put forward on the 24th, because there still has to be community input. There still is not a draft for the community to look at. So what are you going to be presenting to us on the 24th that we are supposed to vote on that has not had enough community input? Is there going to be a draft sent out to the community to review and comment on during the public session? I don't think anything should be coming back to us to vote on the 24th. I understand there's an urgency in zoning, but we have to be careful about how we go about it and not get desperate and sell ourselves short for what it is that we want. So those are my comments.
Good evening, everybody. 1962, my grandparents bought a house on Sullivan Place. At that time, we could not get mortgages in this neighborhood. There was redlining going on. There wasn't a Civil Rights Act. But they pushed through anyway and bought the house in cash because that's the only way they could get into this neighborhood. I've stood by a whole year and watched this process like we're chasing our tails like a bunch of dogs. I do not understand why we continue to go over the same thing. This is absolutely ridiculous. We've wasted so much time. Empire in Bedford, Eastern Parkway in Bedford, on both sides of the street, 15 other developments, 626, and we're still here arguing over the same thing over and over again. If you don't want towers, well, guess what? This is not the way to do it. We continue to go over the same things over and over again, and we're not getting anywhere. And there's going to be towers everywhere. Does everybody remember what was on Empire Boulevard? I'm not trying to create fear. I'm not trying to do anything. But I'm telling you right now, we have 18 or more developments going on in this neighborhood right now. If we continue to stall and we continue to chase our tails, we're going to have a dozen more coming up in another year. If we don't get moving, we are going to be really sorry. Empire Boulevard and why that should not stop a study. I've spoken to several elected officials over the last couple of weeks, and they're asking, are we at the application stage? No, we're not. We can't even get a study started. We are going to get killed with towers everywhere if we don't get moving. So now the question is going to be, what do we want to do from here? My first vice chair and my second vice chair, our whole executive committee is totally disgusted at this whole thing going over and over and over again. How many times are we going to do this? And again, we go back to the same thing. Yell out everybody and want it to heck what everybody else has to say. I just love this process. This is absolutely incredible. We're getting nowhere fast, going over the same thing.
Allow the speaker to continue. Allow the speaker to continue.
Wait. I want to ask a question, Mr. Chairman. Since you have said, Mr. Chairman, that we are going over the same material, which I think we all recognize that, regardless of what you think about it, I think we all understand that. What would you like us, as the community, to do about that? What do you want right now?
Begin the study. Let's move this forward and let's go forward. That's all. Simple.
This is the same information. Hold on a second. I think pretty close. This is the same thing which the community has been talking about since July? July, right? Okay, so if we have been putting forth what we would like to see since last July, why is there now, at this point, why are we in a rush? I mean, I don't understand. What you're saying is let's you know, we got to get on the express track now. I don't understand that.
In 15 seconds, you can communicate across the whole planet. How many people in this room have called Community Board 8 about the study that was done over there? How many people have called the Crow Hill Association, the North Crown Heights Association, spoken with State Senator Jesse Hamilton about the historic district they did in his block? The back and forth that goes on between city planning and the neighborhood. This idea about city planning just goes off and does whatever they want to do is totally ludicrous and ridiculous. It's misinformation that needs to stop tonight. You were at the training class just like I was at Crown Gardens, and we had one for community board members. And it's the same thing. People keep coming back here with all this misinformation. City planning does not run off. At the end of the process, New York City Council has to pass this bill. They are not going to come back with something that's going to be rejected.
Okay, that's enough. Let's move on. No, that's enough. You had your say, he had his say. Let's move on.
Let somebody else speak.
We want our applications acknowledged and accepted. Nobody wrote this.
Good night, everyone. Good night.
I just wanted to say, and I just want to touch on the point that, yes, the last meeting we had notes that were collected. Can we agree? Can we all agree if we get those notes together with the notes tonight and come up with a draft and then come back to the community, we can then decide that night, the next meeting, exactly what we can live with in that draft, and then we can move forward.
Any other speakers? Yeah. Any other speakers? You want to?
We have heard you. We have heard you. Many of us do not agree. Okay, there's a difference between not hearing and not agreeing. So when this document is made, as far as I can tell, the direction that it's going, it is going to be very general. It's going to say that we want to study, and it's going to say certain things that we don't want. We don't want to lose, please let me speak, we don't want to lose a single unit of rent-stabilized housing. We want to keep height limits. All right? So here's the deal. You may disagree, and that's cool. And some people on the board are going to disagree, and they're going to vote their way. I'm not convinced at all that what I want is what's going to happen. But that's the process. And just because you disagree, listen to me, just because you disagree does not mean you have not been heard. We have heard you, and I have been listening very closely.
Hello, hello. Okay. Yes. To answer your question, the information that we gathered tonight, the information that we had before, we'd all get it together, prepare a document, and send it out for community response. It would be disseminated to the community. We have emails, it would be on the website. The community board, there's a website, you could go on the website, the document would be there.
Why no? Why no?
No, I don't know.
Huh? Why don't we create the draft? Let them know that the draft will be on the website because this wasn't really have to date when that draft is on the website.
Okay, when we could get together to see this, that's probably quick. Yeah, but nobody responds. We send out emails.
No, we need to see
Okay, be quiet, be quiet. Be quiet.
So I understand. Great. I understand what everyone's trying to say. Hold on. I heard you. All due respect, I heard you. So I think what we're trying to do is get everyone on one accord so we can disseminate the information of the draft that we gathered from last week's meeting and this week's meeting. Thank you. So we're trying to get a draft. We're trying to get a draft. Listen, the draft is going to, so how can we move forward if we can't have a draft of your comments? We have to have this. Because it's your input. It's your input that what you want in the resolution. Listen, on that note, listen, okay, with all due respect, that's an issue that you should call the community board and talk to the district manager's office. I agreed we should have community residents on the ULURP committee. I totally agree. If you're not on it, that's an issue that you have to take up with your district manager. But for tonight's purpose, we have to move forward on what we have to get done. So we have to. So we're trying to see, Mr. Chairman of the ULURP, is if we can get a date to get the information on the website so the community can view the draft before it gets final. If I said vote, forgive me, but we can't vote on it. We have to draft up the resolution. And if I just said, excuse me, for the record, correct it. If I said vote, forgive me, because we can't vote on it. We have to draft up the resolution from your comments and put it together before we can vote on anything.
The draft should be out.
I'm glad to see this as a somewhat interactive session. So I have questions that I would like to ask the board about the resolution and the resolution drafting process that I hope will be helpful to everyone. So we got this right before the meeting. It's I guess sort of a draft request. So first of all, who wrote this up? Who drafted this?
That's just the outline that we intended to use for the draft. It would be in the form of a letter. It would be in the form of a letter requesting the study.
You drafted it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the only draft.
There's another draft?
That is just a basic outline, and the draft would be coming.
Okay, so who's been involved? Who on the committee has been involved in?
We had committee members involved with that.
Which committee members?
We had several committee members. Each came in and contributed.
All of them, all the ULURP committee members, all of you were involved in drafting this? I just want to know. You were, Tim? You were?
It's not what I ultimately wanted, but yes, I've had input on it.
Did anybody else have input who's on the ULURP committee? Okay, so my question is, if this, okay, so if this was, but we had one input session already, there were several people who spoke, their input was very clear, and I don't see any of that input reflected here. Several people asked for downzoning, several people asked for removal of certain areas from the study. It doesn't appear that that's reflected here. And I do have questions about what this means. What, for example, does protection mean in protection of the existing industrial and commercial corridors? What does protection mean? But this is very important if we're going to have meaningful input on this resolution. What does protection mean?
Suki, we have to leave now. You said one question and we're going on. Just let me get the mic. And yes, okay, all right then. Okay, Suki.
What do specific height limits mean? Are we talking about 20 stories?
Suki.
What are specific height limits?
Pass me the mic, Suki. We've one question we have to get out.
Answer why? Answer why?
I think we need these answers before we can have meaningful input.
Pass me the mic, Suki.
Sorry, I just want to comment really quickly. We do have to wrap up. We have to be out of here by 9. But I was one of the scribes at the last meeting, and when I saw that letter, I was a little disturbed because a lot of what I wrote down was not on that. So I don't know why I wasn't part of putting that together, but I would like to see a more thorough fleshing out on the letter. Thank you.
We have to get out of here.
Hello.
Speak like 5 times.
Okay. Hello. Good night, everyone. Meeting is adjourned. The information would be published by the 18th of the month, so we'd have it out to the community.